Today on the channel 1-2, Freddy's coming for you with the Nightmare on Elm Street NECA Ultimates, Freddy Krueger.
And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another NECA Ultimate Edition unboxing and review. And today on the channel, we got one of the all-timers of 80s horror. We've got the main man. We've got Freddy Krueger. But for all your Freddy Krueger needs and a whole lot more, make sure you're heading over to Entertainment Earth. Use discount code Kyle. Save yourself 10% on all in-stock items. Anything over $59 does ship free. And of course, Freddy Krueger, an all-timer in the horror genre, of course, 80s staple of horror, the Holy Trinity out there, I guess you could say, with Jason, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, I guess Leatherface in there a little bit, kind of the next generation of horror icons, really. Of course, you had the Universal monsters, which I'm a little partial to, of course, but the 80s brought us some great horror characters, and Freddy Krueger right there at the top of the list, no doubt about it. And me, of course, being a kid of the 80s, I was all in on Freddy Krueger. But I got to admit, it's just interesting, and all these years later, when I was a kid, Freddy Krueger was cool. He's still cool to this day. To me, he wasn't super scary. And I know I was probably a weird kid. I really wasn't scared of a whole lot of stuff when I was a kid. Like I've said before in videos, the only movie that really ever creeped me out was Basket Case. Oh, if you've never seen old Basket Case, check that one out. That was the only one that kind of stuck with me watching as a kid. I never really got all the fuss about Jason and Freddy. They were almost more comical to me, even as like a little 7-8-year-old kid, whatever it would have been. Just didn't give me nightmares. Where some of the kids on the old playground, and that's where you take the temperature of things when you're a kid, the old playground, kids were like staying up all night, they were scared and all this kind of stuff. It's just kind of wild to me. And it is interesting how a bunch of people in my age back then were so scared of these. But now my daughters, Elle and Emma, of course, you've seen them before, they don't really get scared of Freddy Krueger at all. Well, except that one time. Now that's an interesting development right there. That was way back in the day. As I have a Freddy Krueger mask, or I did, and I still do, I guess I should say. But when I was a kid, Freddy Krueger, a lot of kids were Freddy Krueger. I was no different. And there was good Freddy Krueger masks, and there was terrible Freddy Krueger masks. Well, story time with Kyle here. My dad, oh yeah, my dad, the same dad that's on this, we would go to this fancy Halloween costume store. I said, Dad, I really want this fancy Freddy Krueger outfit. And it was like $120 or something. That was a lot of money in the 80s. It's a lot of money now for a Halloween costume. And I remember my dad finally breaking down and saying, okay, if I buy you this, you're Freddy Krueger for the rest of your life. And I said, deal. And that's what happened. The rest of my Halloween years, I think for 4 or 5 years in a row, I was Freddy Krueger. But I got a very nice Freddy Krueger mask. And you saw Elle and Emma. They got to enjoy that mask here, as Elle used to wear it around the house when she was little. Little Emma, a little bit more scared then. But it's funny, they're little kids. Of course, they're 12 and 8. Freddy Krueger does not scare them at all. They don't even get anything. It's just nothing to them. And it's crazy where in the 80s, 8 and 12-year-old kids, they were just having nightmares, couldn't go to sleep. So it's crazy, the changing of the guard. I guess no different than me as a little kid watching Universal monster movies. I thought they were really cool, but I was never scared by them. Where my dad's generation as a little kid, they were a little bit spooked out. I know my aunt was scared of Dracula, things like that. So it's just wild how that kind of stuff works. The changing of the horror guard, I guess, is really what it ends up being out there. But that's enough story time for Kyle. Let's do this review like we do all the other reviews on the channel. Let's take a look at the packaging. Let's talk about it. Let's unbox it. Let's talk about it. Let's see where it goes from there. Shout out to the band Elm Street. Shout out to Australia Heavy Metal. Elm Street, I've seen them actually in the United States a couple of times, way back in the day, but a great underground metal band. If you don't know Elm Street, check them out. Definitely worth a listen there, so shout out to them. But there it is, old Freddy Krueger Ultimate Edition, the first Nightmare on Elm Street, of course. A lot of people would say the best one. I don't know where I fit in there. It's been a while since I've seen all these movies, of course, but I've seen them numerous times over the years when I was a little kid, things like that. But a very iconic movie poster right on the front there. Nightmare on Elm Street on the side. Ultimate Freddy at the top. NECA down low. Nothing too fun on this side here. And then on the back, we got the blurb. Everybody loves a good blurb, especially me. What's it say about Nightmare on Elm Street? Nancy is having grisly nightmares. Something monstrous wants to kill her. Meanwhile, her high school friends who are having the very same dream are being slaughtered in their sleep by the hideous fiend of their shared nightmare. When the police ignore their explanation, she must confront the killer in his shadowy realm. And that never really works out very well if you go down to their shadowy realm. And Freddy was one of those weird ones too, where it's just like, at the end of the day, just don't go to sleep and he won't get you. But that's easier said than done, as we do know. I forgot about the inside there. Of course, typical NECA packaging design. We're used to that by now. But yeah, I mean, it is a little tough just to not go to sleep. A little background action. There it is off to the side. See you later. Goodbye. We got old Freddy here, looking a little like a Freddy could look. Right there. Where's my scissors? Off to the side. A little plastic prison. But I don't know. Freddy, I'm trying to think. I think Leatherface is my favorite. Leatherface, then maybe Freddy, then maybe Jason. Boy, I don't know. They're all good in their own way. I have no problems with any of them. And we've talked to my dad. We've done some of the other, of course, Universal monster movies. My dad doesn't have any time for any of the Freddy Krueger's 80s, so my dad wasn't going to be a part of this review. There was just no way he was going to partake in Freddy Krueger. Just not a Robert Englund fan, apparently. I don't know. But I think my dad was probably, you know, just a little bit older, and he'd moved on, and this just wasn't his this wasn't his cup of tea, as you might say. Get old Freddy out of here. Oh, Freddy lost his hand. Oh, my gosh. Some might say Freddy got fingered right there. He might have. There it is. Plastic prison. Up high, off to the side. See you later. Goodbye. Gonna pop that hand back in. Luckily, the hand is removable. Things like that. Very, very cool. The quality of these NECA figures has really risen, especially some of these Freddy ones. We'll do some comparisons later on in this video as well. But let's dive into the accessories here. We get one extra hand, it looks like. Okay, get a couple extra heads, a face. Oh, everybody loves a face. A hat and a phone. So when you get this phone here, of course, you know, one of those dream sequences there, but it is an old school phone. And then it's funny, you got the tongue on the end, kind of Freddy's mouth and things, tongue coming out. Definitely cool 80s special effects is what that is. But a nice little partake back to the movie, of course, with the phone. Back before phones were cellular, that's for sure. So we got that. We do get this extra face here. Of course, one of the scenes in the movie. Maybe, I guess, I don't know. Is this a tribute to Leatherface in some ways? Of course, Leatherface taking people's faces, things like that. But it is basically a face here. Looking creepy as ever, of course. No different than anything else. So very creepy there. We do get one extra hand right here. This, of course, when gosh, and now I'm trying to remember how this went, but I remember, of course, Freddy's fingers coming off and spraying stuff out of there. Was he cutting them off with his finger in the dream, or was he, I don't know, but something like that happened. He was spraying the green slime. I think it was straight out of Nickelodeon, if I'm not mistaken, but you do get some creepy fingers here for old Freddy there, so you do get this as an extra hand if you're looking for something like that. You do get the nice fedora for Freddy. What's Freddy without a fedora at the end of the day? Just a very cool character, no doubt. And a part of his look, of course, the striped sweater was always really good, but then the hat was always a big piece of the puzzle there. But now let's look at the heads here. Let's look at the head that came out of the package. And all day long, you know, this is Freddy Krueger. I always wondered, like, Freddy Krueger, I remember first time seeing him, and I was too young when the movie came out. I'm sure I saw it on, like, Showtime or something for the first time, whatever it may have been. And I remember seeing Freddy for the first time and thinking he had, like, just some kind of, like, disease to him. I didn't really understand until I saw the movie that he was burned, and that's, you know, burned skin is what that looks like there. But he does look very bloody, very, like a mess, really, at the end of the day. And I believe it wasn't Freddy Krueger like a child molester or something like that. I think that's what he was in all depictions of Freddy Krueger. I believe that was the case there. But a very regular stoic head here. Definitely looks like Robert Englund. I mean, NECA does a fabulous job with these head sculpts. This looks really good to me. I see no issues with that. Got the burned kind of droopy skin going on with the red really glistening. I mean, it really does glisten is what that red pieces do on his face and head there. But then we get extra heads here. Oh, we get Freddy looking really good. Got a big old Cheshire grin. Got the teeth showing. This might be the one to use here. I like the big smile going on. Of course, a lot of the stuff is very similar. Got the big old open eyes going on. But all the sores and burn marks are all pretty much the same. It's just kind of the face that is a little bit different on this one. But a very, very good one with the big open mouth there for old Fred Kruger. And then you got one where he rolled back the face going on. This looks like something out of Return of Nightmare, Return of the Living Dead. I can't remember the title there. The 80s classic, a great movie. Kind of reminds me of one of the zombies from that movie a little bit there. But big open mouth there, big old eyes going on. Definitely cool, but definitely not going to be the one I use for display. There's no way around it. I think I'm going to do the one with the teeth. There's no doubt there. We do get the hat, of course. You got to put the hat on Freddy. Freddy's just not the same without a hat. I mean, he really isn't, but really helps complete that look there. So we do get the hat. It does look a little strange, though. I guess maybe I just don't remember Freddy's hat. Did he have it up on one side there? I don't know. He must have. That's the way they have it here, so it must have been the case. I guess my memory just has a regular kind of fedora hat going on, but it is what it is. But let's break down the articulation real quick on this one first. Arms do go all the way around. Single jointed elbow. Yeah, single jointed and back and forth. Got some of that going on. He's got the big old cleaver hands there. And I remember, of course, you guys know, I've worked in the grocery business for way too long. Way too more years than anybody would ever guess. And these are like old school butcher gloves. Like butchers used to have like knives on there to be carving up a pig or a cow. And I remember I was one time at a grocery store, like an old school grocery store out in the country, on my travels for work, of course. And I was in there and there was a butcher shop in the back. And I looked back there and there's a guy, he's got Freddy Krueger hands going on and he's cutting that meat up with his hands like that. It was absolutely wild. I guess never saw it in person. I just couldn't believe it was a real thing. But that's what he's got going on right here. Definitely, you can't be Freddy Krueger without a gloved hand with the old knives on the end there, looking really, really cool. These are need a little heat, maybe bend these kind of up because they're kind of bunched on these two here. But definitely cool. Would have liked to seen a couple extra hands with this set. I would have been okay instead of get rid of this one, have me just a normal hand, and I could have had maybe different gloved hands. Just a straight up regular gloved hand. This one with kind of the curl to it. Some differences would have been nice in that one, but I'm not in the cards here. No upper, no diaphragm, no hula hoop, no ab crunch, anything like that. A little bit of splits action there. A little forward back. Of course, he isn't Spider-Man at the end of the day. Single jointed knees, back and forth at the knee, ankles back and forth, side to side. Pretty limited in the articulation department, no doubt about it. You do get a hand over here, just kind of a gripping hand coming at you. I'm going to grab you hand going on. We're used to that kind of stuff. And then you do get the head here, back, forth, side to side. A lot of down, a lot of up, a lot of good movement out of that head. Definitely cool. And then, of course, the outfit, definitely iconic. Beautiful, beautiful sweatshirt there. Anytime anybody ever has a sweatshirt like this with this color combination, automatically Freddy Krueger. It's not a nice Christmas sweater with the green and red. No, Freddy Krueger. And I think that's tells you how popular the character is. It's almost like, just other iconic things you always think of that person. Like, remember when Michael Jordan did that Hanes commercial years back and he had the Hitler mustache? Of course, that was a popular mustache before Hitler ruined it for everybody, of course. But then Michael Jordan tried to bring it back in a Hanes commercial and it was just like, you couldn't see past that. You're like, what's Michael Jordan doing with the Hitler mustache? It's kind of like that. If I were to wear this Freddy sweatshirt in this video, you'd say, why is Kyle wearing a Freddy sweatshirt? If I was doing just a wrestling unboxing or something like that. It's crazy how some of those things are so iconic, for good or for bad, that they do definitely stand out. There's no doubt about it. Now, does he fit on a Ringside Collectible stand? Of course, use discount code Kyle. Of course, save 10% at Ringside Collectibles. Make sure you get the Mattel stands, like I always say. But Freddy fits perfectly there. I will probably end up using him on a stand here. Very, very cool Ultimate Freddy, though. There's no doubt about it. I like what I see here. I'm here for this, and this mask does fit on here. It should, I believe. Let's see. Get that on there. Yeah, there you go. You can just put that on there. It hooks into Freddy's nose, so you can wear that if you want to as another face. I don't know if you're going to display that way, though. At least I'm not going to. But definitely a cool Freddy here. Definitely with A Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one. Definitely cool to get this version of Freddy. I can see a lot of people wanting this one. And there's a lot of people, myself included. I just need one Jason, one Michael Myers, one Freddy in my collection. Well, apparently I got two Freddys now, as I do have, what is this, the new Nightmare one from years back. I do have this Freddy just hanging around. One of these days on the channel, we'll show my horror collection. I got kind of a, I don't know, it's a room of just horror stuff. And so, yeah, we'll show it. We always show everything but that for some reason. But one of these days, we'll get around to that, I'm sure, on the channel here. But definitely NECA in the Freddy business. They've made a lot of Freddys. I'm sure they're going to continue to make a lot of Freddys into the future here. And, man, I'm here for it. I might just pick and choose. I might do some dabbling. But I'm here for all that kind of stuff. All kinds of horror, 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s, 30s, you name it. bring it all on, NECA. We're here for all of it. But are you here for all of it? Are you picking up this Freddy? Let me know in the comments down below. What's your greatest Freddy memory? Did you have to be Freddy every single year when you were a kid at Halloween time? Or were you ever Freddy at Halloween time? Let me know in the comments down below. Of course, you made it this far. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on the old notification bell as we got videos every single day. And we got even more content, including early access to videos like this over on the Patreon channel. And as you guys know, Patreon, your best way to support this very YouTube channel and all the content. You can also support the channel at ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. And don't forget social media. SirPaul64 on Twitter, Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson. So for Freddy Kruger and A Nightmare on Elm Street, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.